again, thank you to our host, the SUPSI, and all the organizations that supported the GLAMhack 2022. Don't forget to tweet or share on LinkedIn or Twitter. These are the Twitter and social media handles, so if you are sharing, don't forget to tag us. We're going to go very briefly, very swift and smooth for the next hour or so. We're going to see all the project presentations, quickly talk about what's next, and then give a lot of thank yous. Group photo. We've done the group photos, but we haven't done on one of the entire GLAMhack. We move on. Fair enough. Y'all see the challenges. We actually started with 9 and we came to 17 challenges, which is so many, and I want to say thank you to all people who fished and fished spontaneously. You did an amazing job. And some of those challenges went further, actually 9 of those. So what we're going to do is start seeing the project presentations, and it's my greatest honor and pleasure to welcome the first group on stage with Jean-Louis Jones-Ega, Mattia Gavin, Dominique Chevancy, Ginevra Zenenghi, Tommaso Eli, and Giuliano Castellani, and they deserve a wonderful applause.
Okay, hello. So actually, we miss Antonello Tuori from this list, maybe we can bring it up later. So we are group 1. Our team was designing a visual access to this big archive that is maintained by the Swiss National Sound Archives, and which contains different forms of historic supports for music. And more specifically, we focused on this collection that is called the Gramophone, which contains specific carriers of music that are very, very old. Like our work started by actually, thanks to Mattia, we interviewed our domain expert, Giuliano, which is not here today. And we learned how it is important to preserve those archives because of the fascination with the historicity of sound, the possibility to compare ancient sound with today's one, and to realize that there is this different approach to music that you can appreciate. We had a very hard time in dealing with the data, because we were given data in an XML structure that was basically not documented, and we had a very hard time in understanding what different fields were, but eventually we managed to convert them to a JSON format that we could visualize. And after it, we did some design reasoning on the whiteboard with post-its, and we tried to understand how to organize the data in order to visualize what was most interesting dimensions that we could find. And eventually we came up with this application, the idea, the mock-up of this application, in which we can explore the collection through 2 different paths. One is more visual and the other one is more analytical. And I can show them to you with a mock-up that we realized in Figma. So this is the mock-up of the application, in which we present the collection and give 3 opportunities for exploring it. One, it's the last one actually, is just the idea of playing a random record. And we also have this this jukebox that we created with the 3D printing and the Fab Lab upstairs. And the other possibilities is to, explore it through some filters. So with analytical, we have different carrier types, different categories. We could search on it, and we have this list that as we do selections, it gets reduced. So we filter down elements, and eventually we can still get to the record and listen to different tracks in it. And the last path that we thought about was this idea of visualizing the collection. So based on, first of all, the carrier types, we tessellated the available space according to the amount of records that are available, and interacting with the space. For instance, by clicking on the shellac record, we can get to we drill down and we reduce the record to 461. You can see the number from here, and you can just select from the description. You can go into genre, and then also into production label, and at the end you get to reduce the lists of records that you can decide to play in this case. And yes, that's our project. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much. I want to thank that group. Are there any questions by the group?
Yes, I have a question.
The microphone is running to you.
What is the scope of this project? Is it possible to add other collections to this presentation? Because I have a friend who also is managing a collection of shellac records, and he has a way of presenting it which is not very elegant, and I think it would be great if it could be connected to this project once it takes form.
Yeah, I think, yes, potentially we could adapt this way of presenting the content to any collection. Maybe work with metadata and with MP3 files. So I think
he already has all the metadata and quite an organized way.
The material is maintained by the I was mentioning before, the Swiss National Sound Archives. So there are people that who take care of maintaining the records and transforming them into a digital version like an MP3 and putting metadata inside. We actually found out that the metadata is not clean, it's very messy, so maybe some work would be needed to make them a little bit more, let's say, operable. But yes, potentially, of course, we can think about similar strategies for even other archives. You want to add anything?
Thank you so much, Team Fonoteca, and they deserve another applause. Next on stage is team number 2, Herbarium Wikidata, with Yolanda Jack, Luigi Nafi, Oleg Radlovsky, Riva Pinto, and Pietro Bonazzi. And you know they need this here. Oleg.
Well, hello GLAMhack. It's great to be back up here after some 24 hours or 30 hours of hacking on the projects. I'd like to just very much thank the team for engaging on this project, despite me not being the actual expert behind it. And we are very thankful to Alessia for being available to us despite personal encumbrances throughout the weekend to support this project. So quickly, we are working with the challenge of making the data from a herbarium collection of plants available, which has already been the work of scientists now for years. And we started with a brainstorming process where we basically looked at the challenge, which was to make location and mapping of species around Switzerland and even the world more accessible to the general public. We looked also at the way history and the change and movement of species is relevant, especially from the perspective of education and climate activism, these kind of topics. We combined with the Wikidata challenge to really explore the combination of data sources and set about to import the data from the archives, two archives that we received access to, into the compelling prototype. And This prototype was initially in the form of a mirror board, which you can explore on our project page, and I will let the team talk to you about the design prototype, which highlights the main features of the idea.
Hello everyone, so we were the team for the actual app design, and yeah, we called it Living the Barrio, and that's actually how it starts. And then you get to a map where you can explore all the points around you that actually it's like a game where you can go and explore these plants that are rare or maybe already extincted, and yeah, you can choose one point which you want to explore, and like this. And then it sends you on the way to find the plant, and if you're on the right spot, it tells you to take a picture for your collection. So it's actually like a, can you take it? Is that possible? No, it's not. It's not working. Okay, sorry. Okay. But it's no, it's great. Okay. Wait, we can show it. Sorry.
All right.
Yeah. It's you can see it also on the project page, and
Just one story. Thank you. Super. And then there is a back, a front and a back, and you get more information at the back of the card. And the last part of our demo is the fact that we actually did manage to export data sets.
Continue on the app design, that you can, once you find one, then you can add it to your collection, share with your friends, and make posters with the image. And then as you said, we managed to actually make it work in also in online, so it's available on our website.
Exactly. Check out our project page, try the live demo. Thank you.
All right, thank you, team number 2. We're really pushing those 3 minutes. I'm happy to take one very short and precise question, if there is any. Wait, where are you going? Is there any question? At the minute, no? Okay, no questions? Then you are actually free to go. Thank you so much. I think I've already said limit for anarchy, so everything will take. Next on stage is team number 5 or 3, that's team number 3, with Mont, Dershti, Gopwani, and Thomas Leipzig. And they also deserve a very warm applause.
So, hello there. We are Team Mont. My name is Thomas. This is my designer, Drshti. Now, when I was a boy, I was bad at geography. And to be honest, I still am, so eventually I decided to make an app for that. An app that allows for discovering the mountain names, hilltop names around you, wherever you are in Switzerland. So this is it. The app called Mont that knows all the mountain tops, hilltops around you.
So now I'm going to show you how we had the project. Thomas had come up with a simple prototype, and my job was mainly to design and make it more user-friendly. So this is, as you can see, is the first one, and now I'm going to show you how it became and what elements we changed on it. This, of course, is the first thing we did, the logo, and of course the colors. Then we went on all the different graphics we used, and as you can see, we have to show all the things like the compass and the altitude and what the user has to do to make it easier to read.
This is how it works. You just take the app, point it to any hilltop, press the red button, and if you are lucky, you get a mountain name. If you are not lucky, you get this one. The UI should be very intuitive. Everyone of us knows how to use a camera app. This is the app design we chose, and that's about it.
So here we have, sorry, 1 second more. We have the QR code, which the iPhone users can do it, not the Android. We're still working on that. But this is the QR code if you want to try it out in the web. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, team number 5 with Mont. Are there any questions in the crowd?
We love the Saint Mountain.
Say what?
We love the logo of the Saint Mountain.
Thank you so much, Team Mont. And they deserve a round of applause again. And you can keep the Thank you. Next on stage is team number 7 Audio Analysis Challenge with Loic Jauer, Roberta Havila, and Berg Weiberg.
So we have this audio analysis challenge. The idea was to retrieve as much information as possible from an audio collection to various machine learning and natural language processing methods, speech-to-text, name entity recognition, and sentiment analysis. Just to record the data set is Radio Plein Lune, feminist pirate radio from the region of Geneva. You will find some information about the collection, like that. So we did some first tests for the speech-to-text. First we tried to use Amazon and Google because we're there out of the box and we had very good results, in fact, but it's not open source. There is a limited usage and can become very expensive. So we say, no, that's not for us. By the way, on those links you can find results that we put. Then we tried some open source solution. We tried speech recognition, which in fact you can use other APIs. Deep speech, which was not good enough result with the French model they proposed. And then we tried also VOSC with Pali, which has a very promising large model, but it's quite complicated to use and there is not so much documentation. So the winner at the end of the open source solution is Whisper, which is an API from OpenAPI, which is very easy to install and use. You can use it from the command line and run it locally. You have very good results, not only for the punctuation, but you have also different outputs, so text, SRT, and DTT with the time codes also already. And we found out that in fact we don't need to use the large model, which is the biggest, but medium is enough. And here just the example of the command line to use Whisper. Then we ran into issues. The first we solved, so don't name your script whisper.py because you will run a circular import error. And also it's quite slow. So the idea is we should use the CPU instead of the GPU instead of the CPU. That we couldn't get to this. It's important. Next, we deleted some name entity recognition from the text in spacing without categories, very easy. This is a script from Bill, just to work quite well, but we did, so we had the experience from past year GLAMhack with the telephone experience, which was also in this sense. And then we tried lastly to do some tests for sentiment analysis. Also there we tried first text block, which is easy to use, but in fact it's okay for English, but not so much for other languages, and there is only French and German available. And then we turned to Stacy and Partner, which seemed very promising, but we still need to analyze the results. facts of the sentiment analysis. So here the code, so it's really very, very easy to use also. And for the results, in fact, we were, before publishing the results in open access, we have to check if this would reach some sensitive personal data, because it's quite sensitive theme, so we wanted to be sure before. So for the moment, results are stored in a private GitHub repository, but in the future, those results should be integrated then in the memo base, so that the user has access to this information also. And that's it.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions from the crowd?
I'm curious, what evaluation...
Wait for the microphone for documentation.
Yeah, I'm curious about what kind of evaluation metrics do you use to evaluate the Whisper, for example?
So for Whisper, we used only the transcription, so we could see that it was good, and then we just compared by hearing and the transcription, we could see that the median model was good enough. And then for the sentiment analysis, that's much more tricky, and I need some more knowledge and help from other people, and that's very, very tricky because it's not only the words, it has to get some context too.
I see. So did you have the ground truth to compare like the transcription? So how do you get like I didn't get like how do you evaluate the first one? We can talk about
Can we take more questions later at the apero? Yeah. Thank you so much, Team Audiovisual Recognition. And next on stage is a huge team, which was actually pitched on Thursday, a rough idea, and is called Noon at the Museum with David Berkey, Paul Brunner, Yolanda Benza, Erzsébet Cifra, Camila Mendes, Matteo Subet, Cristina Bejan, Anna Saini, and Valerio Bolsola. And they also deserve a wonderful warm applause.
So, hi everybody, our team grew and grew, and it's not everybody on stage, so Beta, for example, already left. Yeah, we are gonna present you what we've done. Where's Marty? Did we wanna present? Yeah, sure. So, we even use the map app, by the way. So, we want to address this huge discrepancy between museums talking a lot about climate change, about sustainability. It's actually already in the new ICON museum definition. And then you have at the same time in the same museums, museum restaurants, which don't even sell a single vegan or vegetarian menu. The topic is really broad, and we try to boil it down to a small question like, can I eat you, given I'm vegan or vegetarian? And it ended, yeah, you can change. Yeah, so just can we, isn't that the browser? Because I'd like to show the project page. Sorry. So since here you see, actually it ended up in something, well, sort of a report, and we did a long documentation, and we did something we called a case study, and then it was actually a hackathon, so we might well call it a prototype. So it's either or. It's about all the museums in the Canton Ticino, and we wanted to know, so how many museums are there actually that have a restaurant? Then do they offer at least one vegan or vegetarian menu? If not, maybe there's vegan or vegetarian restaurants around in the vicinity, so we wrote a query that can find that out automatically. It's going to be presented later. And how can we assure that the work we put in is documented and in itself sustainable, such that it can be reproduced either in future work by other people or also at other places? Yeah, so something about the process implementation.
So basically what we did was to identify an OpenStreetMap. Well, we decided obviously to use open data and existing repositories. So we focused on OpenStreetMap and Wikidata. So we identified how we can document this kind of data on OpenStreetMap. And then we started with some data extraction from OpenStreetMap. You can actually visualize the museums and see which restaurants are in the surrounding. I'm going to go back to the results in a few minutes. So what we did was to check if restaurants if a museum in Ticino have restaurants, which is not an information that you can find that easily. So we actually collected information, and once we found the restaurant, we then called the restaurants so to check for the menu. The data was included within Wikidata, and at the moment, museums do not include the data related to services on Wikidata for Ticino. So we added the information there. We used appropriately to identify this data to make sure that can also be collected new data related to services in the future. And we updated those data also on OpenStreetMap. This allowed us actually to get some results with our search. So 6 restaurants have a vegetarian option for vegan within 50 meters around the restaurants in Canton Ticino. And within 200 meters we have 14 vegetarian options, 9 vegan out of 134 restaurants. So what we actually found out is that there is really not an attention to the services within museums. You don't find information very easily on the website. The strategy is not included. But this is a strategy that is very important because of the new icon definition of museums. So we left this work with a series of questions that are obviously with some results related to Ticino and with some new questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And there was also the production of a series of beachbox associated with the project. That was weak.
Very well done. Are there any questions? Yes. Right.
Please tell us about the visuals that you're holding there.
Clever.
No, when you visual find out the way we can like visualize the map, it's just in that way that we can like show like where is the museum, so we can like look at it and maybe you can find interesting.
Thank you so much, Team Noon at the museum. They deserve a very warm applause. A lot of work. And next we have team number 13, Mappa Letteraria, which was also spontaneously pitched yesterday. Hergis Hermesi, Stefano Darbo, and Luca Lamucci. I think only Stefano is presenting, so he deserves also a very warm applause.
Right, so after the largest group, here is the smallest group. And we are missing the boss of the group because the idea initially was from Hergis. What we did was to work on the proposal of Hergis to improve the Mappa Letteraria of the Associazione Culturale Cantoncina to have better information for tourists when moving around Ticino, to know what they are seeing and to have also collateral moving from the object to the subject of the monument to the other information that could be interesting. What I think is important is that what was the result was a initial exchanging information, and so we also understood that from the database that is in l'Osservatorio Culturale Canton Ticino could be imported significant data that would feed other projects in Wikidata. First of all, the one that was before on the stage, was before me on the stage, because certain information would be helpful for the previous class. That's all. Thank you.
I'm making up the time here. Okay, are there any questions for Stefano? Ticino related or yes?
How would Fondazione Letteraria know about you? Are you
we just met here. We didn't know before each other.
But
so
are you going to contact them?
Yes, we are going to have contact in the next weeks because we knew that Elvis had to leave yesterday evening, so we could not really work out all the proposal and details. But we went to the points that would be required to develop that. So we saw example of similar activities done in the past with data information related to other apps of touristic information. So I gave some example, and then we saw some technical details about how to import, how to export, and so on. We paved the way, then we will see where we are going to do in the next weeks or months.
Thank you so much, Stefano. And one more time. Next on stage is team number 14, chapter number 14, with label recognition for herbarium. This is Ivan Alexei Leonelvata, Marina Berazateki, Ray Noller, and Ralf Machunza on stage. Thank you.
Thank you. Unfortunately, Ralph already had to leave. I will just let my co-workers quickly introduce themselves. I'm Raynola.
I'm Marina.
I'm Lionel. I'm Ivan Alexei.
Thank you. Sorry, can I show our presentation?
Yes, it is.
I'll send it to you. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so this was a second project that was suggested by Alessia, who couldn't be here in person but was really generous with talking to us on Zoom and answering our questions. We're working with the same data set, which is digitized herbarium specimens of the University of Zurich and ETH Zurich. And that's about 350,000 sheets of paper with flowers and plants stuck onto them that look a bit like this. They have a load of different labels, and it would really help the curators when they add all the metadata to these records if they could go through and say, hey, we only want the ones from this year in Ticino, we only want the ones harvested by this one group. So we wanted to set up a pipeline to get that information out of these pictures. We tried a bunch of different approaches. We really spent a lot of time trying things and going, that doesn't work. Eventually, the tool we decided on is this tool called eScriptorium. And you can see here behind us a screenshot of how it works. We have a picture like the one we showed, and it identifies, here are these lines of text. We have to give it some text to let it build the model, and then it will automatically transcribe more images once that's done. And I want you to read here, or just pay attention. Here it says, Leg Valo Koch. Valo Koch is a curator, a botanist we were interested in, and Leg means he's the one who picked it and put it on the paper into the archive. So we really thought, okay, let's focus it down. Let's only look for text that says Leg Valo Koch, and this way we can speed up our pipeline. If we really focus down. And in fact, we could train a model, and we ran it on some new pictures, and this is what we see. Leoch, loch, lech, lekoch. It turns out, we learned this, that you can't really speedrun these things. You have to give it examples of all the text you might be trying to transcribe. You can't just say, ignore everything that isn't this one dude's name. After this, we did better. We tried a couple of other tools. I won't go into detail because that's not very interesting for this wrap-up. But now that we have proof of concept and we all practiced and figured out how to make it work, our next steps are transcribing more images to build an even better model so it reads the text more accurately, and setting it up so that we can automatically process as many of the images without metadata as possible and store this information to help out the curators. Thanks a lot.
Well done! To number 14, are there any questions?
Previous through the API, could you go into a bit more detail about that? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So with Transcribers, there's a web client that Marina spent some time on, and she found that it gave really good text recognition, like really good transcription. But I looked into it and I couldn't find, maybe, if you want to tell me I'm wrong and I missed something, I'm all ears, for sure. I couldn't find a way to conveniently use the API without making a payment and getting in touch with the Transcribers AI developers and having some kind of paid plan. And just quickly, the other problem we had with a different project is that there was some config files missing, and so we couldn't bring up the Docker environment. I'm sure the code works, but we couldn't test it.
All right. Round of applause. Next is team number 15, also a strategically pitched challenge with Karin Hammerli, Denise Beitensberger, Fricht Hammerli, Hakiratze Sami, Esther Yu, Ifyoma Irene Yoko, Lea Pistorio, and Mark Vasilic. Come on stage and they'll do a warm applause.
Over the course of this project, we changed the name because we realized that the idea we pitched first with the selfies is already made by Google, and so we had to find another idea. So we came to the idea that nobody did yet to strike a pose in front of a camera, and it will show you the matching artwork. And so your body will basically be the input method to search for pictures. If I remember a certain picture with a certain pose, I can recreate a pose and then find this picture. And it also opens interesting possibilities for research. If you imagine all the poses are registered, then as an art historian you can see which poses were trendy in the 1700s. Next step, I will hand it over to our developers who were working until the last second, and yes, to talk about the challenges.
Okay, so the first challenge was to do the math and get the indexes of the image or of the pose to match them with the image that we're doing. And the second one was to pre-compute a lot of data and upload it to MongoDB. But then when we changed something, we had to kind of delete the whole database and re-upload it, so it wasted a lot of time.
Yeah, guys, we have to be honest here. We just finished 5 minutes before, so we're gonna be just as surprised from the result, or you know, or not surprised, probably. But we're just gonna YOLO and try this thing out and see what happens.
Make you laugh.
Yeah, make you laugh at least.
Yeah. So the challenge, the potential is obvious. So let's go to the live demo.
Yeah, but the potential, we also are thinking about, it would be nice if we could share it on social media, for instance, or that we have a physical transfer or transfer to the physical world by using the postcard creator provided by Post, Post, and the other one I forgot. And it's not shown anymore, so maybe you read it.
So we know there is an image in the set which shows a girl playing the flute, and we're just going to try, or I'm going to try to make that pose, and hopefully we don't match that.
That's so funny.
Sorry guys, it's the...
Folks.
Okay. You should run the script.
This is That's awesome.
There you go. Okay, so strike the photo.
Can we see a second pose?
Yeah, we can try another one.
Let's try another one.
What about the saxophones?
My son likes this one.
The same T-shirt.
The hair matches, no?
Yeah.
Well done.
It's so.
Is there a question? No, they're stunned. Is there a question? Yeah, again, they're stunned.
Okay.
Amazing work. Well done. So, last but not least, project/challenge called Tagging Comments with Beat Esserman and Marco Fusati.
Dominik Siri and Jonas Lendenmann.
Didn't know, well done too. Please, a warm applause for everyone on stage.
So, first disclaimer, the software which I'm going to present has not been developed here, but we used the hackathon to actually do some usability tests on the software and also think about how to analyze the data it produces to then do benchmarking against some other activities and comments. So the tool is called ISA tool. It is used to add depict statements to images on Wikimedia Commons. Wikimedia Commons, you probably all know, it's the media repository of Wikipedia and similar projects. You'll find the link to the tool description page from our challenge. So it's easy to find. And once you're on the actual tool, you will see this screen where we can start
exploring the campaigns. So the tool is based, it's a crowdsourcing tool that is kind of organized around campaigns, so I can create new campaigns and then just interact with these. Once I'm on a campaign, I get like a sort of a leaderboard with the main contributors, whatever. That's not so interesting. Then I click on Get Started, and then the actual action will happen. So here I have an example of an image from the Livestream collection that has been provided by the ETH library in Zurich. And what we're currently adding to this crowdsourcing tool is a machine vision extension. So you actually get these tags below, these ones, kind of provided by Google Machine Vision, and we're working on a second algorithm that will not extract data from the image itself, but will try to extract data from the existing metadata on comments. But this isn't deployed yet to this version. So now to interact with that tool, so I just look at the image and I have to decide what I want to enter as the picked statement. So we're trying to describe what we can see here. So here you can see that the suggestions, try to find out how useful they are. So in this case, I might add beach. So I just add beach. Then I see this steamship or steamboat. You see here watercraft, but I can be a bit more specific, so I can just look it up like steamship. Let me put my mic. So now we have a direct live lookup against Wikidata. And that's been added here. So what more do we see here? That's already information I get from the metadata, Salzgärten. So that's salt evaporation ponds. So I add this, and then once I'm done, I can save it. Oh, something went wrong. So that's a common issue we're currently having to the database, how it's set up. I don't know exactly why it's happening. And maybe like you kind of already understood some of the challenges here. We have some usability issues, and we have issues related to what kind of tags we're actually supposed to add. Then at some point, like how useful are the suggestions? And maybe our testers want to say just a quick statement what their main insight has been.
Usually you can try twice and then you can get lucky. You push save twice and it works.
Pushing for the time limit here. So we have a question, if there is any from the community group. Is it quick?
I'll ask later. Okay, I'll do it one-on-one.
I feel like it's going to be a long one. Is it quick? If you can make it quick, we make it quick.
Well,
he's just there.
Thank you. There's just a question. Could you see an implementation of this with images that are not hosted on Wikimedia?
And currently we're developing it on Wikimedia Commons because the service by Google that actually connects these images to Wikidata, it has been deployed, to my knowledge, only on Wikimedia Commons, so we actually access this data from an API. But in the long run, we're planning to kind of emancipate the service from a proprietary algorithms, be from Wikimedia Commons, so it could be run on separate media repositories. And eventually you could also think about plugging in different knowledge graphs on top of Wikidata. So Wikidata may cover some aspects of our knowledge, and you may have very specialized knowledge graphs, maybe for some scientific areas. Then could this emancipation, like from the current setting, could even go further. At the current stage, what we're doing is like creating an architecture that allows us to plug in different algorithms into the same crowdsourcing tool, and then you could actually choose between the algorithms that you add or that you leave out for certain campaigns. And that's the current stage of the work. Thank you for the question.
Training Commons, team number 17. Actually, I made a small mistake. They were second to last, but not least. Now we have last but not least, challenge/project number 0/18. Program I just made a mistake here. You were listening to challenge number 17, which is. You can make it. Microbugs! And for the last time, you can do this. Applause!
Thank you so much. So this is part of our team. Say thank you to Mrs. Groovy because it's an important part of our team because it's she is able to fix everything just with her superpower. So we are the Microbug Fix Task Force. Thank you to all everyone for your bug reports. We collected all your reports and our team elaborated your bugs, and we have a serious collection of your bugs. And so let's talk about the first bug. And we tried to fix small bugs because we believe in Acrons being able to provide small fixes and give value to the community. So the first bug was be able to read your messages because we talk in Slack, and we don't use Slack because we are
open source advocates.
And so we try to have a way to connect an open source chat system with the Slack. And so, okay, how to, what is the best method? Maybe Matrix was a great open source project, decentralized. And so, okay, it was working with test to an element bridge. We don't know anything about this technology, but it worked. And so we joined the Matrix server. It is a chat server, and from this server we are talking to you, and you are on Slack. Let's say thank you to Matrix for this kind of possibility. So, bug number 2, the Italian community reported that while talking about GLAMs on their mailing list, nothing was working because their mailing list, when Alice was sending an email to Wikimedia, the sad part is that the mail server was sending this very same header. You see that the very same from header, and so, but from the Wikimedia server. So it was impersonating Alice from the Wikimedia server. And so the receiver had the emails in spam directory because Alice, well, Wikimedia is not able, it's not allowed to deliver email from Alice. And so we read the documentation, we explored some magic solutions, and so in short, we understood that there are a lot of weird protocols that causes spam. And so we fixed the problem somehow, and we document everything. And also thanks to Giovanni Fasano. If you are online, thank you for your fix. And these are entire contributor of hosting the server. So, and the first, another bug was related to Wikileaks Relight. Raise your hand if you know this bug from the things disappeared. By the way, who reported the bug? This bug was this team, and the problem was that we didn't know the problem, but it was fixed and somehow. So, let's talk about the other bug. This is a very important bug reported by a person. This was this user that disappeared. Why? But the question was how to extract information from the Gamma page. And so we explored the documentation, and we found the correct API from MediaWiki. It's able to extract in JSON format a lot of text without wiki text. And so she said, "Oh, that's really what I needed." And we don't trust her. We don't trust this answer, but okay, that's good. So quickly, sorry, everything is saying a lot. Okay. another team was asking, please fix my problem about my query on Wikidata. We are trying to extract museum information with extra services. Raise your hand if you know the something. Okay, thank you. And so this team designed this query. We have no time to explore the it's very weird, wrong, and nonsense, but it fixes the problem. And so, yes, thank you so much for this report. And another bug was related to Wikimedia Commons that was burning. So the ISA project was running their project, but Wikimedia Commons was offline for some reason. So but they said that Wikimedia Commons is burning, but the Wikimedia Commons system administrator was saying, no, they can't produce. It's working perfectly. So it was really understanding how to communicate with the project details to the site reliability team. And so a senior engineer responded, oh my God, I guess maybe we have a solution, and they upgraded the solution, but we don't tell how.
It works again.
It works. And so we fixed this problem, we don't know how. So let's go quickly. There is another paragraph about Wikidata query Sparkle that if you want to get data from Wikidata, simply sometimes the server just die. So we try to just explain what we do, what we have done, and so we don't understand anything about this, but if you have this kind of condition, just try to invert things randomly. So take this part, put this part in this part, take this part, put this part, put this part, just invert everything, and you obtain a very, very powerful solution that says, okay, I want to find this, and with this and this, and honestly, I can't explain better, but it works. Now, these, they are able to extract information from Wikidata, and it has a sense, and so thank you everyone for the bug reports and the solutions. And
This was the first example of right-to-left query in the world.
In the universe. And again, say thank you to our member, and it's not present today, but thank you.
Well done, and thank you so much for fixing all those bugs. Okay. Wow. That was intense. Well done. So, we come to the final part of the final part. Lots of people have already left because they need to catch the train and get home, more or less to an orthodox time. If you are sticking around, we are going to take a group picture, I think, here? Here? Yes. Shall we do it now?
Sure.
Okay, everybody stand up. We take a group picture now. This is the first next step. You know what stage as well?
Everybody with a different pose, so we can get
It's a privilege of escalation.
Oh yeah. Sure. Probably.
Yeah, just chill for seconds. We have to settle everything here. So.
Okay.
Can we see everybody?
Smile. Are we doing a self-timer? Yes. You need a self-timer.
One more.